What's up, virgins? Hello, welcome back. I have a guest. He's insane.
I not medically or anything of the sort, just emotionally.
So I've made this man feel very uncomfortable for years.
Relatively. Sometimes.
So why did you agree to this?
Because we're friends.
So you made so. Well, what do you want to talk about? You can ask me any question. I'll answer as honestly as I'm legally allowed to.
All right. Do you have any idea why deep down in your soul you do actively say whatever you can to make me uncomfortable?
That's a good question. I don't. You just give off good reactions, and maybe it's you aura farm too hard, and I feel jealous. Maybe.
I don't know. Okay, I think we have to break something down. Aura farming would mean like, have you ever seen Dragon Ball?
No, I know what aura farm.
Okay, yeah. I talk too much to Aura farm. I put my own.
Maybe that's your aura.
You know what? I've never considered that aura farming could mean different things. Sometimes, what if it really is truly just, in some cases, someone being too much of themselves?
Yes.
That could be it. That could be it.
Aura farming, it comes from the heart.
Are you sure you don't want to point the camera down more? Not that you, but yeah, more like that.
Well, we want to point it right at the good part, right now.
I'm luckily I'm already covering myself, so yeah.
I should do that more often.
Yeah, it's an important place, and
Well, that's how I scare off my victims,
he doesn't have victims. That's not something he has. Okay. It is to my understanding that you've gone in depth on AI chatbots and AI.
I did do one, so I kept getting an ad about AI waifus.
Oh wow.
So I said, I'm just going to download it. It was free. Probably stole so much data and all of my private information. But I mean, so has the government, so.
Can I ask what service you were being advertised to?
Pornography.
Okay. Okay. And that's how they hit their market. It's they have to hit certain markets, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Was it a good experience?
You know what? No, because I was using it as a philosophical counterpart. I was debating philosophy with it, and the different AIs you were only allowed to ask so many questions, and one of them was really stupid,
Oh yeah, because they were all based on like AI like anime archetypes.
Yeah, I mean, like I was asking them about Bertrand Russell, and Bertrand Russell's an atheist, and they were trying to convince me Bertrand Russell believes in God. So that was quite.
Well, you know what? I feel like. Well, first of all, AI is obviously our actual intelligence. That's the artificial part of it. And they can only do so much. I don't think they have a genuine ability to parse what elements of a text mean what.
Yeah.
They can only regurgitate, right? So when they see that Bertrand Russell and God are in the same paragraph, they assume, oh, this guy is like a big time priest.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got that God with him.
Yeah.
He's big with the big boy.
Yeah.
One of them I was actually very unattracted to. I want to make that clear.
Do you know what kind of woman she was?
She was spiritual, the New Age spiritualist movement, and I'm like, no, I'm what you call a crazy religious zealot.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that one person's right, everyone else is wrong. This New Age, we all have our own truth now. Bring back that Bible bashing hellfire.
I used to read Rick Riordan books.
Yes.
And he doesn't exactly have a story of young adults working with Jesus and being the children of God.
That would be great.
Powers, which would be great. I would love to see a pair of children, or just one. It can be one child. Yes. It's fine. work alongside the son of Poseidon so that they're turning all of the water into wine.
Yeah.
And Percy is, bringing waves upon waves from wine.
Is he drunk?
I mean, if we're all, can alcohol? You can't be inebriated through your skin, right? It's not.
I have no clue.
Because, like, if you okay.
This is a podcast. We don't care about fact checking.
If you soak someone in a vat of alcohol, like the least acidic possible, like
Yes.
we're talking like just chill in a thing of beer or maybe wine. People stomp on like Ocean Spray. They stomp on stomp on cranberries. So I mean, like some of that's got to be fermented at some point. I imagine it's not too harmful for your skin. If you soak someone in that, would they eventually become inebriated to any degree? Like,
I have no clue.
could you fail a breathalyzer test just by like sponging in some of that good old brew?
I don't know.
Because I mean, you're not allowed to touch like poison dart frogs. This is my entire mental process.
So poison dart frog, bottle of alcohol, same.
Can we mix? Like, I know we're trying to like clone sheep and whatever, but what if I have scientists make me a poison dart frog that can get me drunk just from touching it? Is that animal abuse? First of all, are we like?
Well, here's what you need to understand. I'm actually very pro animal abuse.
Okay.
All of them.
And animal testing and such.
Yeah, I'm full-blown animal abuse. We don't have enough of it, actually.
Are you Mormon? No, I'm sorry. Are you Amish?
I have a cousin. Oh, well, sorry. The husband of a cousin who was convinced I was Jewish almost bought me a menorah. Until his wife, my cousin, said not to. I did spend 2 years in the Mormon community. I was mistaken as Amish. Some of one of our mutual friends, their friends, you actually met them.
Yes.
They refer to me as the Amish man.
Yeah.
I have people think I'm the only religion I can think of that I have some people convinced that I am a Taoist. And I actually had to call up one of my friends and say, actually, I'm not a Taoist.
Just gotta clarify. I hope this doesn't bring any sort of rift between our friendship.
It didn't, but
What was it something you were betting on? Most people just assume that I am religious, when in all reality I'm not, and I'm just relatively well educated. And I just see something like the Bible at face value, not face value, but in the metaphorical sense. Where it's like a collection of fables, of lessons, because if the Greeks don't get to believe in their gods anymore, why should anyone at all?
They're not.
Because you know what? Their gods were allowed to like fuck up. And I think that's the most realistic thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, no, there was something really meaningful behind God asking, was it Abraham? To kill his own son.
Oh, so that's the Abraham killing Isaac or Ishmael incidents, the binding of Isaac.
Yes, the Binding of Isaac. Okay.
Great video game.
Yeah, wonderful game. And people are like, oh no, that was very serious and he was just testing his faith. Meanwhile, something like that happened with the Greeks. It would be testing faith, but also he's trolling.
Oh yeah.
Like Zeus is trolling you hard. Like
one of the things I love about the story of the Binding of Isaac is that Jews, Christians, and Muslims will fight tooth and nail as to who was actually sacrificed, because that's a good thing in their ideology.
Yeah.
The Isaac versus Ishmael debate.
Yeah, I guess it is really just like... Wait, is Ishmael the same person or is Ishmael the goat?
Oh, no. So, Isaac and Ishmael are both children of Abraham.
Oh, which child?
Yes. Muslims trace their lineage back to Ishmael. Jews and Christians trace their lineage back to Isaac.
They said, we're talking about two different people, and at some point we have to coincide on is as long as we all agree that there's the same God, we can have wars and crusades and beef about everything else later.
Yes.
Because there's something like 2.4 billion Christians.
Yes.
A lot. And I really hope that statistic isn't counting babies that have been baptized, because I don't think that's fair. Um, People talk about grooming, right? They try to claim that people in the queer community are grooming children. Meanwhile, people are like,
For Jesus, you have been watered. For
yeah,
Jesus, you have been watered.
off rip, and like teaching them all of that
Oh, yeah.
from the jump, and like people try to credit animation for having like hot women in it to say that like they're training young men to
Wait, what?
be attracted to women to like make sure they're not gay.
Wait.
Like people have said that like if you look back in animation historically,
Mhm.
it has children's animation has increasingly become less sexualized
Yes.
over time, especially in their depiction of women
Mhm.
in a lot of spaces, like cartoons, especially, or characters are more like amorphous blobs
Yeah.
in certain circumstances. But you know, people are going to be depicted like real people, so what does it matter if this character's mom actually has somewhat of a big rumpus? That's allowed. You know, it's an accurate depiction of love.
Yes.
But you look back and it's like, okay, a lot of these characters are being sexualized actively
Yeah.
in children's media. And it's kind of like some people try to say that that was people trying to make sure that young men were going to be straight. And this is anecdotal, but from what I've heard, it has made a lot of women like women. And some people realize that they are women, which, you know,
Yeah.
good for them. But I just enjoy when someone tries to say that there is media that's training kids. Because, first of all, that would be grooming.
Yeah.
And second of all, Robin Hood trained kids to be attracted to anthropomorphic foxes. And when that effect started to wane, they released Zootopia.
I like this conspiracy theory of the foxes have been, like the deep state
Oh,
wants the furries.
I've met so many women who do not classify as furries who say they are genuinely attracted to Nick Wilde. Now, let's be honest, most of them would say that it is a personality thing. A lot of women like snarky, kind of street based men. You know, it's like Aladdin. You know,
Like me.
yeah, like this guy.
Women.
Ladies,
I am the pinnacle of masculinity.
hit this guy up.
Everything good about men, I embody.
What's it? Was it Reply Girls? Let's
I,
bring Reply Girls back.
I don't actually know that term.
Oh, okay. So back on YouTube, back in the day, you used to be able to reply to things using videos.
Oh.
So there were women who, as they always do, work to their advantages when they can, and tried to get nichely famous online by presenting themselves in an attractive manner and replying to people in videos. You know, think like cleavage, you know, in the video, you know, camera pointing down,
Yes.
type deal. You know, which I personally have nothing against, but it got a lot of hate. I mean, to be fair, if there's pointless discussion being had, that's where I draw the line. If you're going to share your extremities, whoever you are, I fully believe that you should be offering something beautiful and important and impactful to the conversation.
You know what? I'm going to speak on something that I have absolutely no right to, but I'm going to.
Okay.
I always find it really odd how much emphasis is put on how women can dress in particular opposed to men.
Do you just mean like gendered dressing?
Yeah, like I'm saying that in my personal life experience, I've seen men and women wear roughly the same outfit, but women are more likely to get in trouble for that outfit. You know what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying, you know, in some regards. I mean, frankly, there are probably some, you know, when we went to school, there were probably some guys who got away with wearing like a tank top,
Yeah.
right? Whereas if a young lady was wearing that, she might have gotten arrested.
Yeah.
Or there was one guy at our school who would wear crop tops,
Yeah.
right? And while he did get his fair share of like people trying to butt in, I mean, a teacher literally reached up his shirt one time to try to pull it down, but physically couldn't change. Yeah, weird thing. But he did get away with it more often, and that is to say, I do think the emphasis should not be on what people are wearing,
Yeah.
especially when the conversation is centering around assault.
Yeah.
The conversation should then be focused on how we get people to stop doing such a thing, rather than trying to stop rather than blaming the person who's just wearing what they want to wear, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
For me, I always find it so strange that oftentimes I'm not really big into a lot of the shame that I think has sort of become accepted.
Oh, I hate shame. That's why I dislike Catholics so much.
You know what I find absolutely hilarious? I have a good friend of my brother. You know, he ended up on the news being interviewed about the Pope. He is as Catholic as you can come. Went to a Catholic university.
Yeah.
He's read probably 12 books on like commentary of Catholicism. Knows the Catholic history, all of it. And I was talking with him, and he's like, "What do you consider Catholicism?" I know a lot of Christians who consider themselves a forgiveness-based religion. He said, "No, Catholicism is a shame-based religion." Just point blank.
The people in the Catholic Church who work for the Catholic Church aren't allowed to have like romantic and sexual relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that's like putting this inherent level of like shame into the experience that we live in, that only those who don't get to experience those very human parts of life are worthy enough to run the whole thing and to like stand at the gates and be the guards of God and his kingdom. You know, I think personally, if the Pope wants to get busy with it, he should do
with consenting people, since the Pope has got busy with it before, but I don't think it was consensual.
Oh, well, yeah. And I prefer that if the Pope is getting busy with it, the ages are matching, of course.
And
I
can agree with that.
I think nuns should be more free. I think
free the nun titties.
I mean, I guess that can go in tandem. But I was more so implying that free the nuns of the emotional shackles that they're held under. I have some very, I think the most erotic piece of art that I've ever seen that could be in a museum was of a nun and a pastor. And it was a very beautiful, lust, entrenched piece of art.
Do you read smut? Since if you do, I have a great recommendation on website. Tears of a Withered Flower. It's great.
I don't read smut.
If you do, Tears of a Withered... Sorry, I did not mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Aren't you? That's a little free promotion for them. That's a beautiful thing. I think artists should platform all arts that they can.
Pornography is art. You heard it here.
I mean, in some regards.
Oh, yeah.
On some levels. I think if pornography was free from the terrible side effects such as trafficking or addiction, that by and large it would just be considered an art. People have been painting people naked for a very long time. And I think that's an experience we should be able to have. I mean, first of all, people need to learn anatomy anyways. You don't need to, but a lot of people like to. And I think the discussion of pornography is very difficult. Because, one side of the argument is using it to platform the idea that we should be ashamed of things of a sexual nature. And then the other part is like the far ends of both are like genuinely like depraved people who believe in like a sense of lawlessness and that none of it matters at all. And I think there's not even like a middle ground, but take out certain elements out, put certain elements back in, and we're fine. You know?
I think the problem is that pornography is often focused, and I think there's a difference between love and porn. I think love is mutually giving and
Yeah.
mutually receiving. Pornography is transaction.
Yeah.
And I think I think what we should be teaching, and I think people are trying to teach, but it's a very hard thing to teach, is that love is transactional. And I don't think that this thing's recording, right? Pretty sure. We'll find out later. If not, it was a good conversation.
Yeah.
And I think what pornography does is it makes it from this is, two people both giving to this is a transactional thing.
Mhm.
And I think that's where it gets very dangerous.
Yeah, I think one person will become invested and one person won't.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, and that goes anywhere. It's largely young men, not just men in general,
Right.
who are on the end, like the end of becoming too invested. But I have seen, rarely, but certain instances of women becoming too invested in like pornography stars,
Yeah.
male pornography stars. Even in such case that this isn't my world, but I saw a post where someone was like, they took a photo with a male pornography star.
Yes.
And how that guy got his start was revenge porn.
Okay.
A very wild and awful place to start, but he is nevertheless famous to some regard, especially because um, the everything is splintered online nowadays, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. Some people yearn for a monoculture
Yeah.
where everybody's watching the same shows and we're all talking about the same thing. I definitely prefer where it's more selectional and people get to choose what they really like, and
Yeah.
not everything contains everything,
Yeah.
But it's wild to me that someone can make a living off of revenge. But to be fair, um, that could be said for a lot of things. Um,
Yeah.
Politics rings a bell, you know. But I think a large amount of our issues. I believe that everything wrong with the world stems back to greed in some way, shape, or form. There's different types of greed,
Yeah.
but greed is the root of it all. And realistically, if we didn't have the feeling of greed, of not having exactly what we wanted, or this person has what we want, we need to find out whatever way to get it, the world would be an astronomically better place.
Yeah.
Because all crimes in some way, shape, or form stem from greed. All wrong in the world stems from it in some way, shape, or form.
I guess the counter argument I would bring up, and then I realized that there's a counter argument to this, is well, there's a lot of people who don't have enough. And then I thought, well, the reason they don't have enough is because there are people who have enough who are,
Unwilling to share.
yeah.
Exactly.
I really do think there's enough on this planet to go around.
Oh, absolutely. But resources are kept
Oh, yeah.
where they are instead of sharing. I think I feel like in behind the scenes there's this weird push and pull about people trying to decide whether or not rich people, mind you, whether or not it's more profitable or less profitable for genetically modified food to like actually be executed well. Because if we know for sure that we have more food can be sold to more people. But that's the whole supply demand issue where they can charge more for food now.
Yeah.
I really grossly doubt that genetically modified food has that much of a harm on your body. But I know for a fact that not having any food at all does more harm than GMOs would. So just off of the idea that we could create more food based off of what resources we have already, um, and we don't, is a very interesting thing because I'm like, this is profitable for someone, but takes away profit from another person. And I'm wondering how that battle is going on in the shadows.
Well, one of the things that I have learned as I've gotten older and as um I don't know, inherited the wisdom of the elders or whatever, is there's too many closed doors. One of my favorite stories is there's a bunch of rich kids. They all hang out. They got a playground. They got a tree house.
Mm.
And there's a poor kid. He starts working hard. He starts talking with the rich kids. He starts like getting a part of that culture, and eventually gets in the treehouse. You know what the first thing the poor kid does is? He pulls up the ladder, and I see that a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of like this a mentality of you were excluded at one point, and as soon as you get to the position that you wanted to be at, you decide to exclude others because you assume that part of the gratification is it being exclusive.
Yes.
There's a weird level that so many people have where it's what I possess is not worth it if everyone possesses it. Which is it all comes down to like self-perception and legacy. Um you can say that it's like I'm gonna quote The Incredibles.
Perfect.
When everyone's super villainous,
Yes.
it's that whole deal.
Right.
But instead of superpowers, we're talking about housing and food. And it's kind of like other people not having an apartment doesn't make me feel better about having an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel worse, actually. I mourn the people who don't have the resources I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's not what everyone does. And that's like the biggest deal. So I don't know. Like if I have cash on me and somebody's asking for cash, I usually give it. And some people are like, "Oh, no, why would you do that? They're just gonna spend it on drugs." It's like, what else do they have? Frankly.
Yeah.
But also just, I guess at that point, it's not my business.
Well, someone one time told me you are responsible for the choices you make. You are not responsible for the outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is I can choose to be a good person, and it could be, well, intent might be a better way to say it. I'm responsible for my intent. I'm not always responsible for the outcome.
Yeah.
If I try to help someone out and that person abuses that, that's a reflection on them. That's not a reflection on me.
And some people weaponize the fear that it reflects on everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I'm going to derail it a little bit, right? I work with older people,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Older, possibly less accepting people
Mm-hmm.
with children, right? Who some of their greatest worries is whether or not their child is going to end up being gay.
Okay, I could see drugs. I could see crime,
Absolutely. Those things that might weigh on your soul.
jail.
I don't think the general population realizes yet that those people don't control those things.
Yeah.
And my go-to argument would always be, do you think someone would choose to be the type of person that
Everybody.
like so many people dislike
Yeah.
and like show fear towards? Why would someone choose that for attention? You really think that someone would do that for attention? That's a wild conclusion to me. Because personally, I wouldn't choose to be gay if it meant that like so much of the population would hate me.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm like, yeah, no, obviously that's just got to be like something that's like within you to some level. It's like being right-handed or left-handed.
I'm left-handed. I'm spearing.
I'm left-handed as well.
Oh, really? I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Hey, tough job.
But it's just kind of like it's no different. 'Cause at one point, people were trying to stop children from being left-handed.
I think the left-handed example. Well, I'm left-handed, so for me, I see it differently. I think that's a really good example for what being gay is.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, I mean, I could try to do everything with my right hand. A gay man could try to live the life of a straight man, but I would just feel uncomfortable. It would feel
wrong.
It would just feel wrong. You know, I'm like, give me that big man. You know, give me that. You know,
that's what you want. And,
yeah, I want that.
And instead they give you right-handed pairs of scissors and tell you to work with it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I did discover a different way to hold scissors. Where if you do it upside down,
Yes,
and that's very comfortable. It's very comfortable. And there are people who are against that, and I think I would never shun progress and realization, and that we can always use our tools better. You know, but I just couldn't imagine they're like so worried. They're like, "Oh, you spend years and years raising your child, and they turn out gay." It's like that was never up to you. That was the most you were supposed to do with your child regarding their sex life was teach them that they can one day when they're responsible and that to be careful. I think the most important thing you can teach your child is care and to be reasonably cautious.
I think what often is done is they put too much emphasis on the fear of sex, but I do believe the second you have sex with someone, I'm being serious, that relationship is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And I think that should be taught.
There are like relationships are like, branching paths.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you make the decision, a different path is being taken.
Yeah.
You know, everything goes a certain way as soon as you decide it does. You know, and to just teach someone that it's an important decision, regardless of how much weight they decide to let it carry. Like, I'm not personally going to go out and sleep with as many people as possible, you know? But as long as someone is using a condom while doing so and not mentally abusing every person that they're getting with.
I feel like that goes without saying, but unfortunately it has to be said.
Yeah. As long as someone is being a nice person and taking care of themselves while going out and sleeping with as many people as they want, then you're fine. Realistically. It's when you get to the person who's like, yeah, I'm going to sleep with all these people, but I'm not using any protection along the way. Also, I'm telling every single person that I love them.
I'm not saying there's hell, but if there is hell, you belong there.
You're working towards that.
Yeah.
No, but everything has a way to be done where you are intentionally hurting people. And that's intention matters. People are going to get hurt no matter what. But if you didn't intend them to get hurt, and you then reflect on why they were hurt, and whether or not that was actually something in your control. Because think about, going back to Mormonism. Think about like people who go and they try to convert people.
Yeah.
You know, they go on their missions. Some of those people genuinely believe in what they're doing.
Yes.
Right? And if they sit there and then they see that what they're doing isn't right, rather than they realize it's hurting people and they reassess, that's a very important thing. Because someone can go on a mission and be like pure of intentions. But if they see the harm it could be doing, or they see that there are other ways to be helping people and they still continue down the path they're going, at that point, there's like a level of ignorance. You know, I think ignorance is a very important stage of people's actions. And whether or not you decide to proceed with the care that's needed or not is what really makes the person. Because we're all bound to make mistakes. There's no way around it at all. Um, whether it be like, you know, texting while driving and accidentally hitting a family of four
That's not an
to
accident. That's a miracle. Sorry.
to shit. Like just punching the hole wrong in your Capri Sun. As long as you learn.
Yeah.
No, but no, God, driving is so, it's such a privilege.
It is a privilege, but unfortunately, in many places, it's almost become a necessity.
It's a necessity for, like, we don't live in the most walker or biking friendly
Yeah.
place ever. And it has become a necessity. But the reality of it is that the system that should be in place is there is public transportation,
Yes.
and you can choose to drive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to prove to drive yourself. I've been having this conversation a lot lately where I've been saying people 16 to 65 and older should have to every year prove that they can still drive.
Mm-hmm.
Because first of all, changes that start occurring at those ages start getting more and more drastic as each year goes by. But also, like, there's some people who are like, you really want me to lose my driving privileges? And it's like, yeah, you become a danger to everybody else at some point. I'm driving, and if I see somebody make a, like, abhorrent mistake while driving and that could have cost the both of us any number of things, I look over and very often it's an older person, who probably can't see very well or hear very well, or quite frankly, make fast enough decisions for the road.
Well, part of that is we've created a society in which I think we started sacrificing the old and we started sacrificing the young. I mean, I personally feel like we don't do a very good job protecting children,
Oh no.
and I feel like we don't do a very good job respecting those who came before.
And protecting those
Respecting,
respect and protection should be applied to both groups. There
Yeah.
is an appropriate level. There's equity to be had
Mhm.
that isn't being given out,
Yeah.
properly. Uh, and it's insane. We put people in old folks' homes,
Yeah.
and if those places were drastically different, there's a chance they could actually be a viable option.
Yeah.
But when you're ripping a person who's in their twilight years away and putting them in a foreign environment,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes that does more harm than good.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to rip my grandmother, well, any of my grandmothers away from their current situations.
Yes.
I say any because I do have four grandmas. Um, I'm blessed. I'm grandmother and grandfather and dog, of course.
I have my grandfather left. I only have one grandfather left, and I visit him as I try to do it once a week,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that I did that. I think when I was younger, I would have been like, "Yeah, fuck you, old man. What do you know?"
You're like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's like we're family,
Yeah.
and as much as we had already said that Friendsgiving is better than Thanksgiving off camera,
It is, by the way. I still believe that.
family's still very important.
Yes, but my definition of family might be different than the traditional. I don't believe the people that I was born with are my family.
You're a chosen family.
Yeah,
Of sorts.
there's a lot of blood family members that I'd kill for. I'd die.
Yeah.
But there's some that I'm like, I hope you die. That's a bit excessive, but you get the joke.
Well, it's a aggressive way to get the general idea of your emotions out. It's
Yeah.
interesting, and I understand where you're coming from. There are people that I've met and learned to love rather than like hopping in a date love for them because they relate to them that I lay down my life. Or, more in a more normal way to put it. Like you change for someone.
Yeah.
You really look at the way you see something. I think that's much more important and valiant than saying you'd kill for someone or die for someone.
Yeah, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a cool way of putting it, but at the end of the day, something that's much more difficult and much less, I guess, performative,
Yeah.
is to be willing to adjust yourself. for them.
No, that right there, I think is actually pretty insightful. And that's something I struggle with a lot, is willing to change for someone. And I don't know how much you want to share this, but you're in a relationship, and I'm assuming you've had to change a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe I'm
in certain ways. I think when you spend a lot of your time alone for a minute, you sort of flanderization.
I don't know that term.
So take the character Flander.
Okay.
Ned Flanders.
Yes, I am aware of him.
And note that he slowly became a caricature of himself as the show went by.
Yeah.
He had more layers of depth that were removed as the show went on. And that's the general idea. If you are spending less time with other people, you are consuming yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It's like it's just something caving in on itself. And you become more aggressive. Like those parts that you reflect on become more and more aggressive. They become more accented. And those don't always go over. Those parts of your person won't always go over well with other people. You have to learn to balance yourself. Yeah. Because there's the issues that some people try to fully change for other people. And that's not the goal.
I wasn't insinuating that.
No. I know you weren't. I'm not talking about either of us. I'm talking about that it just does happen,
I don't think you should change yourself to make someone else happy.
No.
I do think there are certain elements of yourself you may have to let go to make you more cohesive with other people.
But it's it should be best for both of you.
It should be the best for both.
Like the traits you're letting go or shaving off should be traits that are in some way harming you.
Yeah.
Whether it be that just you're too stubborn, someone might have become stubborn because, people weren't respecting them at one point, and you have to hard pivot to this, no, you're going to respect me type of deal. But then you've got to slowly come back and find that point that's comfortable and works for your life.
One of the sayings I heard, and forgive me for always quoting someone else, what has gotten me here will not get me farther. There has been many times in my life that there was a skill of mine that got me really, really far. There was a point in my life in which I had to be very physically aggressive. Yeah. And then it got to a point in which that didn't get me any farther because I ended up hurting out of fear and just rote memorization. Some people that were very close to me. And what I had to do was I had to give that up for the cohesion with other people.
We have to be adaptable.
Yeah.
And we have to understand our environment.
Yeah.
And there are situations in life where you might have to bury your face, but then you'll have to realize when to put them away, because eventually they get you to the point where you get to pivot again. There's stopping points, and there is a decision of where you could go from there. You can always go back.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. One of the things I hate is that men are only allowed to express emotions if it's aggressive.
Explosive emotions, oftentimes.
Because if a man cries, he's not taken seriously. But if a man screams and pouts and bangs his head,
often only by other men as well. A great element of the patriarchy. Is that those explosive emotions are respected by men. And if you were to gently weep over the loss of something, you might get ridiculed.
One flower I will give to the Mormons is that when I never saw so many men cry, except for when I was in Mormon churches, because they genuinely believed that the death of Jesus Christ and the suffering that he went through was something that it was okay. In fact, it was actually beautiful for a man to cry. And I think that's actually beautiful. I think you should allow men to cry, and I think we've gotten to a point in which we try to say that if you are a man, you must be aggressive. I really, really hate this belief system that in a relationship, a man does this, a woman does that. At the end of the day, you have to do both things. You have to do everything because one day your wife may be sick.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you have to do all of the things your wife traditionally did. Maybe you got fired, but your wife got a promotion.
Mm-hmm. Now you have to pivot. Oh, the house needs taken care of. Your wife now has less time to take care of it. You have more time. Now, at one point, it might have been 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your care of it has to become 75 or hers is 25 or something like that. And even just like, even to say you do have this fantastic job that's giving you so much, that doesn't give you the chance to be completely lacking in presence in the home space. You still need to take care of what you need to take care of. You still need to do certain things because you don't both share your workplace. You share that home, and you both have to continue to affect it.
One of the things that Ben Shapiro said, I don't agree with him on a lot. I want to make this very clear. But one thing he said that was like, you know what, I agree with him on that. Someone asked him, do you believe that a woman's primary job is to take care of the kids? He said, I believe a man and a woman's primary job is to take care of the kids. And I agree with him.
Yeah, because I do think it should be both of your primary objectives. If you are going to make the decision to have children, it has to be just as important to both of you.
Yeah. And if you're going to get married, I think both people should be in agreement on no kids or kids.
That is a make or break situation.
Oh, yeah.
And I've witnessed many people lose a big part of themselves because sometimes some people are very family oriented.
Yes.
And if you get with someone who's fulfilling you in every sort of way, and they're so free spirited, they just don't want to be a family. They don't want to be tied down like that. That's going to weigh.
Oh, yeah.
And drag. And that creates that sort of anchor. And you don't want that from someone. You don't want for someone to turn from someone you love into someone you hate because you decided to not speak on something or decide to walk away.
And one of the things I dislike is that people put so much emphasis on divorce that people will kick the can down the road and they'll allow themselves to get angry at each other. If you wake up and your spouse has now become a stranger, don't keep waking up with them until they become your mortal enemy.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. We know that contracts that have no way out are a bad thing.
Yeah.
Something can be like the perfect deal at the time, but eventually it no longer is. Like we've already said. Eventually you change and eventually something gets you somewhere. And if this relationship only gets to ride you from this point to this point, and once you've made it there, it's not working anymore. And it's for the best for both of you. Split up, you should. I'm not a child of divorce per se.
Yeah.
My parents were already split up by the time I gained consciousness. Okay. Already separated. My dad had already moved away to take care of my great grandmother. Right. And so I've always been open to the fact that sometimes it doesn't work out. And that makes some people uncomfortable. But I think it's an important thing to acknowledge.
Sorry, didn't mind.
No, you're fine.
I came from a family that did get divorced. And I think a huge reason the divorce was as bad as it was this, I think, overemphasis on marriage. And here's where people are going to disagree with me. I believe that marriage is a beautiful thing. But if you're willing to if you truly are telling people, hey, marriage is so important that you should sacrifice yourself and your happiness and your love for your spouse for the kids, that doesn't help the kids because then the kids, you know what the kids see? They see men and women fighting or men and men fighting or women and women, whatever the dynamic is, and they think that is what love is.
Oh, yeah. And that life you come from is so impactful. You can change as much as you want, but there will always be that skeleton.
Oh, yeah. I am unlearning some of those things because there was a time in my life in which I saw that as a model and I thought, oh, this is how I am supposed to act in a relationship. And it's not.
And I witnessed loves ebbing and flowing and moving away from each other and coming back together a lot. A lot of someone leaving your life and entering again at a certain point. And realizing that love is a very fluid thing that can change. And you can choose to stay in this place and make it work. And that's always a very beautiful thing. but sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it comes back. Like I said, my parents have been split up since the beginning,
Yeah.
but I fully know that they still have like some level of love for each other that they can't acknowledge.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I don't know. It's just this big. We do this big charade for like the better part of our lives, where we're trying to find ourselves and find what works. And most people decide to stop. And everything around you doesn't stop just for you. Older people try to say that. Like, older people start being assholes because they're like, oh, I've done this for long enough. It's like, no, you never stop doing this. You never stop changing. And you can teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
The issue is that the tricks you're teaching the old dog have to be within its physical capabilities.
Fair enough.
You know what? Like, the old dog doesn't want to play catch.
You know what? That's fair.
Like, so you just gotta learn how you can change changes, and that's from multiple factors. You can only do certain things when you're younger, and you can learn those things when you're younger. But you can't learn those same skills when you're older, but they might still be with you if you learn them at a younger age. There's certain things like that. Like, I highly recommend.
I usually stretch at this time.
But I highly recommend that anyone and everyone learns an instrument to some degree, especially guitar or piano. Guitar is an incredibly easy instrument to learn to the extent that it will help you.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep going, of course.
Yeah.
But the level that it would be nice to learn to have for the rest of your life doesn't need to be anything that crazy. A couple chords, the understanding of how to strum. That's it. Not everyone has to learn fingerstyle. You don't gotta be Jim Croce, Adrian Lincoln, like, or anyone. You don't have to be Nick Green,
Yes.
But you do have to. It is smart to learn because it helps with memory. That sort of thing. Like learning piano. Learning piano, I think, is the best thing to learn because as you get older, it will stay easier. It's less extreme. It can be gentle. It's just chord to chord.
Some of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard were slow piano pieces. Especially if you get a viola and a piano.
Oh yeah,
you can get some real beautiful
a
stuff.
cello and a piano. I feel like
especially with some vibrato from the cello.
The cello can do so much. It's such a beautiful instrument. I wish I learned that instead of the violin. I wish I learned the cello or the bass instead of the violin.
The bass is a lot of fun in a jazz setting.
Which is where I would want to have taken it.
If I were to learn bass again, I would have never done classical. Yeah. It's so boring.
It's so underutilized.
Yeah.
Because everything that's needed from a bass can also be done from a cello.
Yeah.
Just like everything that's needed from a viola or a violin and vice versa can replace each other.
Yeah.
And frankly, everything can be replaced by 4 sections of the cellos.
Yeah.
And I just think everything has its use, and I wish I learned the cello because it's very beautiful. I've seen people sit it in their lap and play it like a guitar. And then but a bass is so free moving, especially an upright bass.
Yeah.
It like flows like water. Like the bass lines that can come from it are like awesome and insane. I've seen this one bass player. He plays trumpet lines. He plays like jazz trumpet lines
on the bass.
On the bass. And it's wild. It's wild, and there are people in his comment sections telling him what he should be doing and that what he's doing is useless. But it's beautiful, and it's like something that nobody does, and it's so impossibly complicated because breath-based instruments have so much room to move. Mm-hmm. And especially the trumpet. I don't think there's quite any instrument that can move as fast as the trumpet.
I can think of one.
Yes.
Trombone.
Okay, trombone. Trombone and trumpet are definitely there. I'm trying to learn the saxophone, and it's not quite the same in a lot of regards. It's still very beautiful. I love breath control. I think it makes music feel very alive. Dynamics are so much easier with an instrument that has a second tool.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the string instruments that you use a bow for, the bow adds such a ginormous layer of expression.
Yeah.
But and the breath control that you get with all the like the wind instruments, that is such a delicate layer that you can add so much to. But then, like the piano, I feel like it only has so much when it comes to dynamics and expression. You can only get so loud, and it will always be just as steady as it always was. You can choose to like strain the other instruments.
Yeah.
You know, you can't strain a piano realistically.
I mean, they got pedals on the piano sometimes.
Yeah, you have pedals, but they're not like you can't. It's hard to make a piano feel like it's dying. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Meanwhile, with a string instrument, it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy to draw something out, and of course, with your breath, you can like draw that out. Everything has its ups and its downs, like its uses. You know, that's why I hate when music teachers try to tell you that you can only play one instrument or only master one instrument.
Mm.
I believe you could very easily master, depending on how early you start.
Yeah.
You can master like three instruments. I feel like, especially if you start with piano, you can really go places. You know?
On mastery, kind of that thing, one of the things that I noticed in life, and this kind of irritates me, is that we've compartmentalized things so much, and what we do is we don't teach people how to be a full human being. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's hard because we don't really know what it means to be a human being.
Yeah.
I think realistically, I think the point of life is to find what you enjoy and do it.
Yeah.
I feel, and I feel the point of being a human is existing within a community to the best of your ability
Mm-hmm.
and providing to it how you can.
Yeah.
And I think we are constantly asking everything of every person.
Yeah.
And I don't think that makes sense. We used to like commission artists, you know, like big bucks to paint like the top of a chapel,
Yeah.
you know, and that was like all they did is make art, and that's not viable anymore, you know. People used to just sing in a choir for the like, and that's all they did, or you know, you used to just do one thing. But I don't think everyone should just do one thing. There's too many people who want to do more than one thing. Mm-hmm. But options. People should have options. And I have the very strong opinion that someone shouldn't have to fight to live. Everyone is going to fight to live in their own way, shape, or form. But I don't think someone should have to fight to have a safe place to eat and sleep. You know, at the bare minimum. That's kind of like I view shelter as a human right.
No, I feel what I see happen so often is there's sort of a disconnect, I think, between different. I hate the fact there's different classes in America.
I think that's the biggest issue we have in any civilization. I think classes hurt more than they do anything else. You know,
but it was crazy. I go to a library from time to time, and I remember coming out with some of the people I was a part of in the book club, and there were some cops.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. I'm not saying what happened, but it was kind of weird, like how they were so disconnected from the cops. Like they were like, "Oh my God, there's cops here!" Like, you know, it's like I don't know how to explain this. Like they were so like the idea of ever getting in trouble with the law at all was just very far from them. And then I know a lot. I mean, I've got in trouble with the cops, even though I've never done nothing wrong, just because I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And these aren't even like wealthy people. It's just like there's so many disconnects that people have. And
There's so many different experiences we have that are largely driven by the resources you have at hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a complete lack of understanding between those different levels.
And I'm not claiming to have a better understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I'm using that as an example to sort of point out, like, man, I I don't have a better understanding, but I feel like
You've been more places in life.
maybe I feel like once I realized that, hold on, like, a human being is so much more complicated than I originally gave him credit for. I think I had a lot more empathy
Mm-hmm.
because it became harder for me to look at the man on the street and say, that man's lazy.
Yeah.
After I had experienced things that financially ruined me, spiritually ruined, like mentally, physically,
Things happen out of your hands.
and it became so much harder for me to look at him and say, you did drugs, you bad, you stupid.
You have no idea how that person first got any drugs, who gave them that, if they knew what was going on when it started. And once you start, how do you stop on that sort of thing? Things happen. People are promised things that are possible to uphold, and everything happens, all the time. There's someone currently who's like eating a gold-plated steak. At the same time, there's someone eating from a trash can. In the same country, in the same city, possibly
at the same restaurant,
outside and inside the building, literally.
Yeah, I mean, literally, could be a 5-star restaurant, and then and then you see like the cleaner, the guy who does the dishes, is like sneaking some food just to make it by.
Well, luckily, if someone works in a restaurant, it's very common food.
Sure.
It's nice. It's encouraged a lot of times by the people working in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's understood that if you're going hungry in a kitchen, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
That's like one of the first things you would be told.
That's true.
In a restaurant.
That might not have been the best example.
But no, it makes sense still. Like certain places, it is going to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is eating and someone is making everything.
Yeah.
And there's a different class between the two of those people. Meanwhile, they're both just people.
Mm-hmm.
But because I can afford this, and because you are the one making it,
mm-hmm.
we are in different, we are of different status.
Yeah. I don't think we can get rid of status, unfortunately, but I do think we can have respect.
People will always find a way to have status.
Yeah.
Whether it be like, oh,
my tits are bigger, my dick is bigger.
Your lover is more beautiful than mine.
Yeah.
Or something like that, which is so crazy. Focus on what you have in front of you,
That's right, honey, coming up.
It's wild. It's wild. But there are people who, like, get jealous of other people's situations.
Mm-hmm.
When, no, and that isn't to say that there are some people who it makes sense why you are, like, envious of another person. Of course, we just discussed different classes. But if you are in the same position, like, keeping up with the Joneses.
That's stupid, don't.
It's stupid. Like, trying to, like, be like, oh, your lawn looks better than mine. Your wife drinks less wine than mine.
That might be a good thing.
Well, that is a good thing. But it's your fault that she's drinking so much.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. There's so much that people worry about. Like, a better example would be like, your wife always does her hair more often than mine does. Yeah. Like, that's stupid shit. And people can spend their entire lives comparing when you can spend it experiencing what you've got going on. There's a very good song that encapsulates a lot of this. Are you familiar at all with Stevie Wonder?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'll have to look him up.
I highly recommend what a lot of people consider to be his magnum opus, which is the album Songs in the Key of Life. I think it's in the first 5 tracks. It might, in fact, be the 4th track. Is a song called Village Ghetto Land. Mm-hmm. And in it, he says, like, he describes, like, this horribly downtrodden and, like, I'm a little at the loss for the correct word right now, but it's, he's describing this very, destitute neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to say, and we're always told to be happy and glad for what we have, but would you enjoy your life if you had to live here? You know, like he's going in on this very strong imagery. He's like, this family is buying dog food now. You know, just to get by. This is the only food they can afford. You know, it's like, would you be happy if that was all you could do and you're trying your hardest? You know, really, are you going to tell people to be happy for what they have? And I'm sure they are, in some respects, uh, over the moon about the family they have and that bond. But like on some level, it's like, well, but they're living like this. You know, and there's only so happiness can only take you so far.
What do you mean by that?
Eventually you're going to reach that resting point. You're not happy all the time.
Yeah.
And you should do your best to let your happier moments shape how you view your life. But at some point you're going to come to that rest where you have your lows and you have your highs. And there's this level that you're going to be at most of the time. And you, of course, you have to let your experience shape. You have to choose which side you view from glass half full, glass half empty, right? But regardless, you're going to hit this plateau at certain points, you know, and whatever that plateau is shapes your existence.
One of the greatest experiences I ever had was the first time that I could remember in which I was sad, but I was not bothered. Have you ever had that?
Yeah. It's kind of like a freeing experience. Where you realize that, yeah, it's bad right now, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like it's the way you should feel if you get like rejected.
Yeah.
Or something like that, you know? Or it's like, oh, it didn't work out how I wanted it to, but that's not what the other person wanted. I'll be fine. You know? Like I'm gonna sleep it off and I'm gonna find a different person to be attracted to. You know? Or just anything like that. Like, oh, I didn't get this promotion. And as long as that promotion wasn't like life changing, as long as it was just like this little thing, you know, that would have been nice. Nothing too different. You can be like, oh, I'll try it again, or oh, I can just move on. You know.
I don't think you can always be happy, but I do think you can be content 90% of the time.
Oh, content, absolutely.
If I get stabbed, I'm never going to be content about being stabbed. But I do believe it is possible to wake up more days happy than not happy.
I think in your first 5 minutes of your day, you are choosing whether or not.
Yes.
Well, you are choosing your outlook that is going to be had. You cannot choose your circumstances. You can't wake up in the day and go, yep, today I'm going to be a playboy. It's just how I'm going to do it today.
Yeah.
But you can definitely choose to your outlook.
Yeah.
And how you're going to approach the day. And that only goes so far, just as everything does. Some people, it's like, well, how are you even going to manage to change your outlook? Whether that be a positive or a negative thing. There's someone out there who lives such a beautiful life that it's like, why would you ever choose to be upset? You know? Like, in the regards of, like, genuinely, they have everything they need. They are comfortable, they are fed, they have loved ones. Like,
those people, I've met them, they're the most ignorant fuckers.
Oh, absolutely. It's heinous. Because they somehow forget that not everyone gets to live like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's perspective is very hard for people.
Oh, yeah.
Where everyone kind of assumes that people think like them, when in reality, no one has ever thought the exact same way you think. The thought you're having is like, oh, let's strive to say something that's never been said before. But every moment, your perspective is a brand new perspective.
Yeah.
Because there's always a slightly different angle that you're viewing something from. Literally, like, everyone is going to have a disagreement with anyone at some point. I've met identical twins before. I know for a fact that there have been things that they've disagreed on. Yet they've had very incredibly similar circumstances in their life.
Yeah.
You know? not everything is going to be the same. You don't share everything. Even when you're having a shared experience, you're viewing it through a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking about this with someone where you and I both, I'm assuming, are not colorblind.
I actually am.
You are colorblind?
I recently found out I'm blue-yellow colorblind.
Blue-yellow colorblind.
Yes.
And I can't even ask you if, well, do you know, is it, which color dips into the other more?
I think yellow dips into blue more.
So you see yellows, blues more often.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
So, but you can tell
I'm not
certain yellows.
completely blue-yellow colorblind, but I do have a hard time, especially as they get more watered down.
That's interesting because that means that certain lightings just look more blue to you.
Yes.
But I'm assuming that because those are we probably have the same emotional connection to those lightings.
Yeah.
Still, like, but what I was going to say was that someone could see, like, not be colorblind, just like I am.
Well, we'll say red or a different color.
You're seeing colors properly separate.
Yeah.
You're not confusing these colors.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no telling whether or not we're seeing the exact same colors.
Yeah.
Like, they might all be properly separated,
mm-hmm.
but who's to say they're not all slightly different?
Yeah.
It's like slightly darker or brighter. How my pupils, they aren't going to be constructed the exact same way as this person's pupils. Mm-hmm. I might be getting a different intake of light. Very slightly.
Yeah.
Like, depending on whether or not they've spent more of their time on sight. Yeah, they're still like that.
Yeah.
As the crit of their eyes adjusted to. I'm just shooting shit.
No.
I'm not like a scientist in any regards. I'm more or less just an averagely curious person. I like to think about what goes on.
No, one of the things that I personally feel like we don't do enough of, and I mean, it's very easy for me to criticize the world because it's like, I mean, who am I to criticize? But one of the things I really hope that we as a society do a better job at is fostering children's creativity.
Yeah. Also understanding when some people aren't creative.
Oh yeah.
Or creative in a different manner.
Oh, that's problematic. We can't. You see, if little Jimmy doesn't meet these standards, then little Jimmy must be a failure.
Yeah. It's like there is someone out there that genuinely fucking loves plumbing.
Oh yeah.
Like, adores it. This is like what they want to do.
Oh, and good money too.
And it's like that person is no different from the young child that loves landscape painting.
Oh yeah.
It's all about your experiences that shape whatever. And like, I don't think people realize that you're experiencing things, like truly experiencing things on some level from the day you're born.
Yeah.
Some people like to ignore that. It's why they put the baby in the mother's arms immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you feel warmth from the first minute is going to impact how you live the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's such an insane thing. But you can't recount all of your experiences, but they're still there.
Yeah.
They're still impacting the decisions you make day to day.
If there was one of the exercises, I do two exercises, and I think these are really helpful, is I will think of myself as an old man and ask him, what did you regret?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll think of myself as a young man, well, younger than I am,
Yeah.
a kid, and I'll say, here's advice I wish someone would have given me.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to your younger self? And this is a big one, I apologize.
No, you're fine, but it's the answer is that keep trying your best to not let other people's perspective of you shift who you are and what decisions you make. I've done a lot of allowing myself to be flanderized to certain degrees because I noticed that people might like the way you're the person you are. They might like certain aspects of you more.
Is that and I'm just going to shoot in the dark. Is that kind of because you feel like you're a bigger, stronger man, and you feel like people have a perspective on that?
Well, there is that. Sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I have lived in a where, I mean, like, say this. I used to cry a lot when I was young.
Mm.
I was very open to it as a child. And my mom used to be like, "You cry so much for a boy." uh,
Oh, that's great.
Now I cry less. You know, now
Yeah.
it's like much harder for me to cry, and that's something that I try to battle with and whatnot. But that is like one thing, you know, like my mom thinks I'm not enough of a boy or not enough, like
Mm.
not going to be a strong enough man because I cry, which is hilarious from her perspective because I've seen my father cry,
Yeah.
you know, and it's a very healthy process. And
Oh, yeah.
it's very good for you as long as you're not doing it too much. You know, some
Oh,
people run to cry. Some people cry because they know it's a release. When sometimes you should face it.
I think whenever you start wanting to have an emotion, that's when things get problematic. If you want to be happy, that's going to be bad. If you want to be sad, that's going to be bad.
You have to focus on what creates certain
Yeah.
things, what it does for you. You want to be happy, well then find something very genuine that's going to make you happy. You know, not a lot of people go for these like almost like placebo effect
What do you mean?
sources of happiness where it's not real. You know, you see someone being happy and they do this and you're like, oh, I should do that. That'll make me happy.
One of the things that I've done it a little bit. I'm trying to get better at it. And I think it's a really difficult but powerful exercise. Is saying, okay, now I'm going to be sad, or now I'm going to be scared, and letting myself feel those things because at any moment you got 5 or 6 emotions in you,
And you only let one take the helm.
and sometimes you gotta let that emotion that you don't want to take hold.
You've got something running in the background that you need to let take its course.
And sometimes that's joy, sometimes that's sadness, sometimes that's anger, and I think it's important for people to learn that their emotions are like water and that they're always in motion and that it's can actually feel really good to be sad. It can feel really good to be happy. And there's been times in my life in which I started feeling really happy and I had to tell myself, no, I can't be this happy because I knew if I kept letting myself be that happy, then I would have a bad crash afterwards.
Yeah, you're indulging in yourself too much.
And you said that earlier, and like the ability to be with other people so we don't overly indulge is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things I hate is tribalism. I was at a church recently, and the thing that pissed me off was I saw people wearing sports uniforms.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to blend Christianity and sports.
Mm.
And what upset me about that was this like weirdness in which it's like, no, we are not all human beings. I am a Bengals fan. You are a
Yeah, trying to like, we categorize too much as
Yeah.
human beings. I do think this is a very prevalent thing, is that we try too hard to fit into some sort of, you're trying to be a square block, so you can go to the square thing. When in reality, we don't all fit the
Right.
same place. That can bring me to something. There are a lot of spectrums in life.
yes.
There's the autism spectrum, or there is the like spectrum of like gender, or like spectrum of gender. There's even to be fair, there's a spectrum of sex, because there are intersex people,
Yeah.
you know, who I don't believe should be forced to be whatever from birth.
Mhm.
Of course, I think that should be their decision when they're an adult, whether or not they're going to do anything about that.
Yeah.
Their body will take its natural course.
I think it can be very damaging when you try to force the body into a box. You know, if I was a little bit too tall and someone said, I'm going to cut off a couple inches from you because you fall outside of the box, like, or if I'm too short, you try to stretch me out.
Yeah.
I think so much damage comes in when other people try to tell someone, no, if you want to be healthy, you need to conform to these standards.
It's kind of like, oh yeah, I think that's so prevalent with like weight culture, where you got to look at somebody, and some people just are meant to be heavier set.
Yeah.
Like, that is where their genetics lead. The size of their head leads to them being a bigger person. Just makes sense. You know, some people have like big buff dudes with too small of a head for their body. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have gotten that buff. You look disproportionate now. I think proportions are a very, I think genuine proportion is a good rule to live by.
Yeah.
It factors into genuinely everything. Whether that be the clothes you wear, the way you take care of yourself, what you work out, like what methods, you know, like are you going to be doing Pilates or are you going to be weightlifting? Which frankly, anyone who does either should do both. Because they Pilates they work with each other very well. Pilates takes care of the weak points of weightlifting. You know. But it's kind of just like you kind of have to take a look at yourself and be like, what would be best for me? Like, what is genuinely best for the state I'm currently in?
My brother, really tall, has always been clinically underweight. For like 6 months, he went to the gym 5 times a day. I could not tell at the end of those 6 months.
5 times a day? What was he eating? Did he have enough time to eat?
No, I mean, he literally was he was in college at the time and they had a gym on the college.
Yeah.
So he was literally eat, study, sleep. He had no social life. Yeah. Like, the only time he would ever talk to people was at the gym. At the end, I couldn't even tell he was different. Me, I build muscle really easily.
Yeah.
You know, it's just... And for me, actually, really big muscles, I don't feel much healthier. For me, but it's walking. I have a lot of slow
stretching muscles. Like, you can build strength. You don't have to worry about size. Building strength and pliability is the most important part. Like, making sure your muscles have a good stretch and good range of motion is so much better than focusing all about aesthetics.
15 minutes of stretching versus 15 minutes of working out. I always feel better after 15 minutes of stretching.
It's all about whatever you're doing. I think they both can be done together.
That's true.
It all depends. You know, you just gotta figure out how to take care of yourself. You know, and use like the previous knowledge of the people before you. Elders are important because if you heed their knowledge, you have something to base everything you do on. You don't have to list everything they do or like do everything the exact same way, but using it as a jumping point for which way you want to try and figure out is important because you don't have to think of everything yourself.
Have you ever heard the story of Elihu from the Book of Job? This is one of my favorite stories. In the Book of Job, Job suffers, and then his friends come to comfort him. They all blame Job. Elihu also blames Job, but what's important is there are 3 rounds in which the 3 comforters attack Job. And at the end of those 3 rounds and those 3 conversations, Elihu steps in. And Elihu says, I let you all speak first because you were older in years. But it is not the old who are wise, but those who know of God. And I think that was a very interesting statement, because what he was saying was, the proper thing to do is to let those who are older speak, but it is not age that gives you wisdom, but it is, well, how I understand God is humility and willing to learn.
And the knowledge you're willing to take in and assess. You know, I do think that at the end of the day, God is a metaphor for the human condition. And really just the things you cannot control. You know, it's putting it all in one place.
Yeah. What I wish people did more of is I wish that traditions weren't as dogmatic. I think that we should have traditions. Yeah. We should have beliefs.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many things that my grandpa, even though his mind is starting to go, has told me or taught me that have changed the impact on my life, you know? And I think we should respect what was, but be open to what will be.
Yeah.
Another question. So I said, what would you tell your younger self?
Yeah.
What do you think when you're older, you're going to look back and say you regret it? And you don't have to answer this question.
I think what I would probably regret most is just not doing things as soon as I realized I wanted to do.
Mm, like the money scares you, or
No, not even like money. I mean, like if I have the resources available, but I'm not giving it the final resources it needs in time. You know, I think I will just be frustrated with how I use my time on certain things. Not having certain conversations earlier.
yeah,
I've been very frustrated with myself for not learning the piano earlier, even just 2 years earlier. You
Yeah.
know, I'm just starting when you can. You know, in a lot of regards. I don't know. Uh, like the sooner you start being honest with yourself and the people around you, the richer your life will be.
Oh,
And you know,
honesty is something I struggle with so much. Um, I get so scared that if someone knew my life, they'd run away. That's just me.
I mean, you do have a lot to unpack for some people.
Hey, that's part of the reason I started this YouTube channel is just me slowly admitting my life to people.
Yeah. So it's a hard thing. You have at the same time you're finding yourself, you're getting yourself away.
Oh,
And that's a hard balancing act.
for me, one of the things that I just keep reminding myself to do is to, I mean, I've done a lot of trips up to Athens recently.
Yeah.
And, I keep looking at it, it's like, man, this is costing so much money. And I'm like, well, these people, I mean, once we all graduate, we're all going to disperse a bit. And I just keep reminding myself that what's more important is $20 more important now, or is the friendship more important now?
Yeah.
And by the way, don't take anything I say as advice. I don't know anything.
No, none of us do.
Yeah. Well, I am getting kind of hungry, and I think that should be enough.
Yeah, my ass hurts.